Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be wrapping up the month of December. So in the month of December I was taking part in the Shelfspace Reindeer Games Readathon, which was so much fun. It was so much fun, like bonding with our teams. So we were all in different teams. I was Team Frosty and unfortunately we did not win, but you know, we all had great fun participating and reading, and I think it really encouraged people to get into the reading and festive spirit. So overall it was such a success of a readathon. I'm very happy with how I did. I am not very good with planning TBRs, so I am a mood reader. So I think I pretty much threw out my TBR on the 2nd of December and decided to mood read and force books into prompts. So I managed to read 10 books. There were 12 prompts in total, so I'm very happy with that, which comes to a total of 4,072 pages. So I read pretty much what I averagely do. Out of these, 8 of the books were fantasy, 1 was contemporary fiction, and 1 was a sci-fi. 1 of the books was YA, 7 were adult, and 2 were new adult. Out of my ratings, I had a very positive reading month. There was nothing that I disliked at all during the month of December. So I read 3 3-star books, 1 3.5-star book, 3 4-star books, 1 4.5-star book, and 2 5-star books. And then as I am now really going to be focusing on finishing series, I thought I've got to keep myself accountable for this, so I'm adding into my wrap-ups whether something is a new series, a finished series, a continuation, a standalone, etc. So during the month of December I started 1 new series, I continued 1, I finished 1, and I reread 2 books which were part of a series, and I read 5 standalones. I could have done with finishing a few more, but it's fine. We're going in the order that I read the books and telling you which prompt they fitted for as well. The first book that I read in the month of December was The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst, and this fits into the prompt Christmas Tree, which is to read a book with a forest setting, and Queen of Blood is very much in the forest. So I have a video for this. It was you picked my Kindle Unlimited TBR, and you thankfully picked a book that fitted into this prompt. I enjoyed it. It was I guess it's a YA trilogy, and overall I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I don't feel as though I have any like lasting impressions from it. It's not a book that's going to completely stick with me forever, but it was fun and I definitely plan to continue with the series. If you want my full thoughts, then I will link that vlog above and in the description box. The plot is that you're following this character who her village gets slaughtered as a young child, and she is able to save her family because she has magic, and then she ends up at a magical school where she learns to be able to harness her powers. And the aim is that these people that are harnessing powers want to become the queen, and the queen is able to like control these creatures, which I guess they're like sprites and spirits. They're like spirits of fire and earth, and so if they get out of control then they harm humans. So yeah, I will definitely be continuing the series in 2021. The next book that I read was The House in the Cerulean Sea, which is for the prompt Under the Mistletoe, so a book featuring romance, and it features a little bit of romance. It's not overly romantic, but I squeezed it into that prompt. I have a full review for this, which I did for the World Hopper's Secret Santa, and this was Sophia's Thoughts favourite book, so I read that. I really enjoyed this book. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as like the rest of BookTube. I thought it was good and I enjoyed my time whilst reading it, but I think it was very character driven. I wasn't prepared for how character driven that book was going to be, and so I really liked the plot. I found it so adorable. It was cute, it was fun, it was like, it was a hug in a book format. Like, it was really just cute and adorable. But I think I come from really enjoying, I enjoy like a mixture of character driven and plot driven books, but I just wanted a little bit, maybe a bit more plot and a bit more world building, as opposed to just here's all these really cute adorable characters. But yes, I gave that one 4 stars and also really enjoyed it, and I'll link the review. This is it's a bit of a stretch, but He Sees You When You're Sleeping, which is to read a book with suspense or thriller elements, and I read Anxious People by Frederick Backman. It's not really a suspense, it's more of like a character study, but it does follow bank robber, which then ends up as a hostage situation, and you're following all of the people in this hostage situation, and you're like seeing their lives and how they all fit together and all the characters, and it's very much like a study on humans, and it's got the book is full of really important messages and how we judge people and how we accept people. It's not my sort of book. It's not my sort of book at all. Like, it's not really my thing. But so I could really appreciate the book, but it just isn't really my jam. But I did a whole live show on this book read by Andy, and it was great really discussing it with people and seeing how we all had different thoughts about it, and seeing how we each interpreted the book differently. And I think depending on your life experience, then that will really impact your enjoyment of that book. Alongside that, I read The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and I did this for Christmas caroling prompt, which is Own Voices, and Matt Haig has suffered from depression and anxiety, so I thought it would fit for that prompt, because The Midnight Library, it follows a main character who is very unhappy with her life and so commits suicide, and at the moment between life and death she ends up in the Midnight Library, which is full of books that are different scenarios of your life. So I would put major trigger warnings on that, because you do have to be in the right headspace for it. But I thoroughly enjoyed The Midnight Library. The messages that book, it just seriously, I was like, it really affected me. I was like, wow, this book, just the way Matt Haig talks about life and how we should appreciate it, and how we can deal with our regrets, and how looking back on your life you may have regrets and you may go, oh, what happens if I made this choice, and what would my life look like if I did this? But actually you wouldn't necessarily be who you are today if you made those choices, and so you should be happy with who you are and your lot in life, and accept that these are the choices that you have made, and just realise that that is the best for who you are as a person. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the sort of fantastical elements that the book had, and I did a review of it comparing it to Anxious People, because they were both so close in winning the Fiction Goodreads Choice Award, so that will be linked. I then had my most disappointing book of the month, which was The Burning God, which I read for the prompt Naughty List, so reading a book with an unlikable protagonist, and I was seriously disappointed with The Burning God. I really loved The Poppy War and The Dragon Republic, and so I don't know, The Burning God didn't work for me, and I'm so sad about it. I'm really bitter. I literally wanted to throw that book away because I was so upset and sad that this is how the series ended, and it's hard to go into without spoilers, but I just wasn't happy with the progression of the series and where it went. I felt as though some aspects were tied up really quickly, that we built throughout the books to a moment, and then it was dealt with super fast and it was just finished, and that was that. I wasn't happy with the ending. I felt the pacing was very weird throughout the book. There were some moments which dragged really slowly. There were some moments that were too fast, and I would have liked them to have been explored a bit more. I wasn't happy with the whole progression of the series. So unfortunately, The Burning God was not for me. I still gave it 3 stars, because I think I've got so much nostalgia for the rest of the series, and I still really liked, there's some elements that I really liked, and I could see that it was well written. I just didn't understand so much of the choices that were made. To make up for that, I reread Akamath, or A Court of Mist and Fury, which is a favourite of mine. It's my favourite in the series. That book by Sarah J Maas, I love it so much. This was for the Checking It Twice prompt, which is to reread a book or a book that you had previously DNF'd, and I just love that reread. I was listening to it on audiobook, and then I had the physical copy and I was reading along, and I read it in like 2 days. I just could not stop reading. I love that book so much, and I've been rereading the whole series in preparation for the next book coming out, which is a spin-off series, A Court of Silver Flame, which is coming out in February, and I'm so excited for that. So it was just so fun. It was so fun. My reading did sort of go a little bit downhill at the end of the month. I enjoyed spending time with family this Christmas, and I wasn't spending as much time reading. I just wanted to play board games and watch films and be with my family. So I then managed to read The Once and Future Witches by Alex Harrow. This was for the prompt Christmas Lights, so reading a book with a red or green cover. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. I much preferred her book, The 10,000 Doors of January. And there were elements of this book that I really liked. So you're following 3 sisters in this sort of new Salem. So the witch trials have been and gone, and in this world there is magic still around, but it's been passed down from generation to generation, and things have been forgotten. Lots of it has been sort of repressed by men, and they're saying that magic is a female art and it's not acceptable, and it's sort of set on this backdrop of the suffragette movement and women trying to have their independence, and magic is sort of juxtaposed with that. And so you have the men trying to like repress the women and saying, no, you can't have the vote. And the women are like, we want the vote and we want to have our magic. And there were some elements of this book that I really, really enjoyed. Like when the plot was moving, I really enjoyed it, but there was some of it was really slow. Like I think it could have been maybe 100, 150 pages shorter. It just went on a bit too long. And those would be my main faults with it. I feel as though the book had this really strong message about feminism and women power, but it got bogged down by that a little bit. It could have moved along with the plot a bit more instead of focusing so much on that. And I mean, I really like having that message in the book, but I just felt as though it kind of overtook the plot, and I would have liked just a bit more like progression of the plot. I enjoyed it, but I don't think I would reread it. And I was reading it and then I stopped reading it and read like the whole of Akamath, and then I went back to it, so it just didn't hold my attention as much as I wanted it to. I then reread The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. So this is the second book in the Mistborn series. I wasn't planning on reading it this month, but I just felt like it just called to me, so I reread that. I did it in a mixture of both the physical book and the audiobook, and this was for the prompt Santa's Elves, so to read a book which features magical beings. It was, you know, it's just as good on reread. I had forgotten so much of this book. Like it pretty much was a new book to me because I'd read it so long ago, and I remembered the ending, but I couldn't remember anything leading up to that ending. So I was like, I had no idea what was going to happen next, and it's such a great series. It's just so fun. The audiobook I really recommend. I hadn't listened to it before. I really enjoyed the narrator. He did such a good job of voicing all the characters, so I would strongly recommend that. And I had a great time rereading books this month, like rereading Akamath and rereading The Well of Ascension. It was just a great way to finish off the year with all these nice rereads of favourite series. So it's just like, you know, guaranteed 5 stars. You're like, yes! Great book, great, yeah. I'm very keen to get to The Hero of Ages in January before starting, hopefully, The Way of Kings in February, so we shall see how that goes. I then read Deadly Dreams by KJ Sutton for the homemade present prompt, so to read a self-published book, and I've enjoyed this series, but this was definitely the weakest book in the series for me, so I gave it 3 stars, but I found it, there were moments that I liked, but a lot of it felt very dragged out. I really liked how in this book it did deal with like the effects of trauma and how we deal with situations. That a real focus of the book was characters dealing with the trauma from the end of the second book, and I appreciated that. But some of it just felt again a bit too dragged on. Like it was a 500 something page book, and it probably could have been cut down a significant amount because it was just there was just too many words. For the plot. There wasn't enough plot for the amount of words in that book. There were, I mean, I still really like the characters. I really loved the ending. Like it just, KJ Sutton is very good with her endings. I just wasn't necessarily a fan of all of the middle section. Like it did feel a lot like a filler book, which is really unfortunate. And I will definitely continue with the series. I'm just like, it just felt a bit unnecessary in some ways, which is just really annoying. There were lots of aspects that I liked, and I do really enjoy the series, but maybe would have been a better series to have binged once all the books are out. I think it's planned to be a 6-book series, but maybe it would have been better if it was cut down a little bit. Like it is feeling a bit like a filler now. And then the final book that I read, because I was like, I need to just, this was on the 31st of December, I was like, let's just squeeze in what I can to help out Team Frosty. And I realised I hadn't done the novella prompt, which was Stocking Stuffer. So I read The Test by Sylvain Neuvel, and I really enjoyed it. It's like a 100-page book. I read it super quickly. You could read it in like maybe an hour, hour and a half. It was very, very easy to read, and this is following like a man taking the citizenship test for the UK, and I really, really enjoyed it. I won't go too much into the plot because it's so short, but it really makes you think. And as people say, this is very much a Black Mirror situation. Like it definitely is that. And I was surprised by the direction that it went in, and I was like, oh wow, like really enjoyed it. It definitely made me think. I am very happy to have read it, and I'm very keen to read some more Sylvain Neuvel next year, just because I really liked his writing style. I gave it 4 stars because it's hard to rate 100 pages. It feels weird to give that 5 stars, but I think it was 4 stars. Like I appreciated like the message that it was portraying and how these situations, we're not too far away from that situation. So So overall, I'm very happy with the 10 books that I read. Yeah, I had a pretty great month. I read a lot at the beginning of the month and then I did fall off a lot at the end, but I think that's normal. I just wanted to enjoy my Christmas. Yeah, it was a really great reading month for me, a great end to the year. It was so fun taking part in this readathon. It was a really great fun readathon to be a part of, and the camaraderie between everyone. And there was like competitive spirit, but it was just fun to like, everyone was encouraging everyone to read. It was really like just a bonding experience, especially within our teams. So thank you, Team Frosty. All of the members were lovely, lovely people, and I was very happy to be a part of that team. So let me know what your favourite book in December was. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!